I've been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for great content and thank you for joining the family. If you're a loyal visitor, well, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Today, we're going to be exploring different reasons why women leave their marriages. And I've stitched together some videos which we're all going to watch together, and then you're going to join me on the other side where I will be giving my 2 cents on this issue. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. So without further ado, let's dive in.
I've been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why. So I'm going to tell you the story of the day where I thought to myself, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. My husband and I had 4 kids. We both worked full time. We had been together for 16 years at this point. We've been together since high school. And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive. He's kind. He's loyal. He's a great dad. He's very hands-on. He's an active participant. He's always present. Like on paper, what else could I ask for? But in reality, my experience is very similar to the experience of other women. I had this amazing husband who on paper was great, but I was incredibly frustrated and burnt out from our marriage and from motherhood. Because what happens to so many of us is that we marry these amazing men and we have amazing relationships and then we have kids. And when we have kids, women tend to carry a disproportionate amount of the work in the home, the work of raising kids, and the mental load. And that is exactly what happened to us. About 3 months after my fourth baby was born, I remember looking at my husband and saying, I need more. I need you to do more. I am exhausted. I am in charge of everyone and everything in this house. Every night when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more. And he looked at me and he said, okay, just tell me what to do, right? Every woman has heard this. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And I said, okay, something that would make my life easier is if in the mornings when I came downstairs with the 4 kids, because I do mornings by myself, the dishwasher was emptied, the dishes were put away, and the trash was taken out. That would make my life so much easier because when I've got the 4 kids running around and the baby crying, I can't be looking for their favorite water bottle in the dishwasher. I just need to know it's clean. And he said, yeah, of course. What? Yeah, I'll do that. That's no problem. And so, of course, he does it. But then I have to remind him, and then he forgets, and then I have to remind him again. And there was this one morning where I woke up, and I went to put something in the trash and it was overflowing. And I went to get my son's water bottle and it was in the dishwasher with all the other clean dishes. And I felt so disrespected and unseen and unvalued at that point in time. And I remember texting my husband being like, what happened? Like, why didn't you do this? And he said, sorry, I was running late for work. And I remember thinking, oh my God, he doesn't see me because what he's done has now made me late for work. And he doesn't care about that. He doesn't care about the impact on me. And he doesn't see how every single thing in our home happens because I ask him to do it, or because I do it myself, or because I planned and organized it. The diaper bag is full because I filled it, right? I put the wipes in there. And I felt so frustrated. And I remember thinking, what's the point? What's the point of doing this with someone else? I might as well just do it alone. And it's not because my husband didn't love me or he did anything to me, and it's not because I didn't love him, but because I felt so taken advantage of in our relationship. And this dynamic, it doesn't happen by accident, right? It's not like my husband did it to me, but we've been raised in this society that tells men and women who they should be in marriages and what it looks like to be a good mom versus a good dad. And we know the bar for moms is way up here and the bar for dads is way down here. And we fell into these norms. We fell into these roles in our family, despite the fact that we never wanted to. And I'm lucky, and I say lucky because I have a partner who I know loves me and wants me to be happy and was willing and able to change. And so we did the work to figure out what equity looked like in our relationship. And I can tell you now, 3 years later, that we are happier than ever. Our kids are thriving. Our home runs like a well-oiled machine. And that took a lot of work. I want to say it took like 18 months to get there. And it was well worth it. But it is not uncommon. And so if your wife is coming to you and she's saying, I'm burnt out by the mental load and I need you to do more, she's not just saying that because she wants you to do more chores. She's saying that because truly it can hurt your relationship. It can ruin your marriage if you do not participate in an equitable way in your home. And so what does that look like? What does it look like to change these dynamics? Well, we need to really assess in our homes, what the work looks like. Because in most homes, the data supports this, women do a disproportionate amount of the work. They just do. They do more of the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and the childcare while also working full time. And men have more time for things like their hobbies, like golf, for example, or just working out, running a marathon, right? And so we need to have hard conversations about what our time looks like, what our labor in the home looks like, what is invisible labor. We have to talk about these things. And when we don't, the alternative is that you no longer have a marriage, or you don't have a happy one at least. And so I share this story because I don't think I'm alone in this experience. And I want people to know that there's hope, and that if you have a willing and able partner, you can change this. You can absolutely change this dynamic.
Why did I divorce my husband? I divorced my husband because I was making a certain amount of money. I divorced my husband because I thought I didn't need him anymore. I divorced my husband because I had this senior position at work and thought I held the same position at home. I divorced my husband because I thought I was better than him because I had my degree now. I divorced my husband because I thought a successful marriage meant I was here and he was down here. That is not success. That's fucking sickness. I found myself divorced and out there looking for love in all the wrong places. Fucking this one and that one and that one and that one and this one and that one. And my body count going up and my value going down. I'm just going to call it like a TI is. All the while, my husband done found somebody else building a relationship and building a life with them. I should have stayed married to my husband. I felt like I was on this dark road with no street lights, pitch dark, and I couldn't find my way and didn't know which way to go. I felt lost. I felt like I was walking barefoot on that dark road with pebbles and hot rocks sticking my foot. I felt hurt. I felt alone because every time he and that one and this one and that one left my bed, I was alone all by myself. And which was supposed to be soft and comfortable for me, my pillow, it was now filled with tears. I should not have left my husband.
The number one reason for divorce is always the same, but it's not what you think. We like to say he or she cheated and that's why they got divorced. But cheating is merely the effect of the problem. The real reason lies elsewhere. The real reason that two people divorce is because at some point during the marriage, one or both stopped to put in the effort. And this happens because we have false expectations of how a marriage should look like. Our society feeds us with fantasies about a marriage. And when our partner doesn't fulfill these expectations at any moment in time of the relationship, we get disappointed, and that's when we stop to care. Instead of looking at marriage as an agreement in which the most important thing is that we both have the same life goals, we get married because we feel so amazing about our partner. We put so much emphasis on our feelings. But when you marry him for love, what happens with all those feelings once he disappoints you? And this is the beginning of the end of a marriage. Because now your husband doesn't make you feel safe anymore, because at any moment in time he might disappoint you again. And therefore you cannot appreciate what he's actually doing for you. And a husband will stop doing because now he feels that he's not accepted anymore for what he has to offer in this marriage.
All right. Now, before we get started, I would just like to make one thing clear. And that is, I am not rooting for the destruction of marriage as a whole, but we have to face the fact that there are certain marriages that are unhealthy. And if a marriage is unhealthy, not only is it dangerous to the people that are in it, but it also has some consequences to the children. Now, we're going to dive into different reasons to add on to what some of the women have said. Let's start with the biggest one and most misunderstood reasons women leave their marriages. The first one being emotional neglect. Now, when people think about why a woman leaves her husband, they usually jump into the dramatic stuff like cheating or abuse, fighting. And yes, those are real. We're going to talk about those later. But emotional neglect, it's subtle, it's quiet, and it's often invisible to everyone else's eyes except the woman who's living through it. You can be in the same house, the same room, or even the same bed and feel completely alone. And that's one of the most disorienting feelings in the world, isn't it? It's not that he's mean, it's not that he's abusive, it's not that he's absent. Maybe physically he's around, but emotionally he's somewhere else. The deep conversations start to fade, the affection disappears, you stop laughing together, you stop sharing your day, you stop being friends, you basically just become roommates or co parents or just two strangers playing house. You try to bring it up and be like, hey, I feel disconnected. And maybe he brushes it off or tells you you're being too sensitive or says, I'm just tired. So you drop it. And again and again and again, it continues in this vicious cycle, right? Eventually, you stop asking for what you need because every time you do, it turns into a fight or worse, nothing changes. And over time, you start to question yourself, am I expecting too much? Maybe this is just what marriage is like, but it's not. Marriage isn't supposed to feel like solitary confinement. You shouldn't feel like you're begging for crumbs of affection or attention. You shouldn't feel like you have to shrink yourself just to be tolerable. A lot of women stay in emotionally neglectful marriages because he's not a bad guy, and that's true. He might not be, but the impact, the slow emotional starvation, it's still real. And here's what a lot of people don't get: women will hold on until they emotionally disconnect. And once that disconnection happens, once a woman mentally and emotionally checks out, it's usually already too late. And by the time she says, I'm done, she's already left in her mind 100 times. And it's not sudden, it's years of unmet needs, years of feeling invisible, years of carrying emotional weight of the relationship alone. And it's not about what happened, it's about what never happened. The emotional conversations that never came up, the hugs that were never given, the support that was never there when she needed it most. Emotional neglect isn't loud, but it's powerful. And if you've been in that kind of relationship, you know exactly how loud the silence can be. So if someone tells you they left you because he just didn't get me or I felt alone in the relationship, please believe them. Emotional abandonment is real, guys. It hurts. And it's more than enough reason to walk away. And if nothing, even if nothing big ever happened, emotional neglect is definitely a good ground to leave a marriage. Now, let's talk about communication, or really the lack of it. One of the most common things you hear in relationships is, we just don't communicate anymore. But I want to be clear, it's not always about talking. Some couples talk every day. They text, they joke, they exchange updates. But that's not communication. That's logistics. True communication is about connection. It's about emotional honesty. It's about safety. And when that's missing, you start to feel like you're shouting into a void. In the beginning, maybe you talked for hours, you shared dreams, fears, silly stories, and late night outs. But somewhere along the way, the conversation got replaced with silence or small talk or arguments. You stop talking about the real stuff. You stop feeling like you can be vulnerable without turning it into a debate or a shutdown. You might try to bring up how you feel, and the response is defensive or submissive or just blank. And over time, you stop sharing, because what's the point of sharing with this person if they are not opening up? Because you're just going to be met with, you're overreacting, or you're always so emotional. And that's the thing about poor communication. It's not just about what's said, it's about how safe you feel to say it. And here is where it gets deeper. For many women, communication isn't just about talking. It's about being emotionally held, about being heard, being validated. It's about knowing what your thoughts and feelings are. Knowing that your thoughts and feelings actually matter to your partner, not just in theory, but in practice. So, on that note, I would like to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to this candid conversation. I haven't done one like this where I've poured out my heart, considering I am not married myself, but these are just my thoughts on why people leave their marriages. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this, and share your experience in the comment section below. Your opinion might be different from mine, but it doesn't mean you're wrong. I'll catch you in the next video.